Today I'm joined by Raymon from the Biezen. Raymon is double Olympian 2008-2012.
Yeah.
And greatest achievements in your career, winner of the time trial at the Olympic Games.
Yeah.
So if it would have been a separate event as in other sports, you would be Olympic champ.
Yeah.
And fourth in the main event. European champ 2010-2016.
Yeah.
And from my records, I think also you were 6 consecutive years top 10 ranking overall in BMX, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, Raymon ended his career after the European champs 2016.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you're now assistant coach of the Dutch National BMX team.
Yeah.
Welcome, Raymon.
Yeah. Welcome.
Okay, Raymon, in your life as an athlete, what was your darkest moment?
I would say, well, of course, we all had injuries, and I had a few, but I think my darkest moment was getting fourth in London in 2012. That was a really dark side for me, and then especially when I came back from London, went back to training, and I broke my collarbone at the first training. I was pretty much done. I want to hang up my bike and leave it there, but for some reason it was a really big disappointment to get fourth. Especially, I won the time trial in London, and then I had a really good chance to get a podium, and I felt really good. And for some reason, a fourth place just didn't feel right. So it didn't feel like a win to me. So right now, I can really say it was a really good result. But still, I think I was in the opportunity to get a medal in London. So still mixed feelings about it. But of course, I'm also I have some happy feelings about it as well. Yeah. Because before the Olympics, I got a really bad injury on the wrist, so I had to come back from that as well. My mom was in the hospital, also in a really bad situation. So overall, a fourth place at the Olympic is something to be proud of, and I really am. But at that moment, it was a really dark moment for me.
Yeah. Yeah. And I also remember you were the man to beat, right? You didn't lose the race until the semi-finals, so you had first places in all the qualifications.
Yeah. Only in the last semi-final, that's where I screwed up basically everything. My last semi-final, I got, I think, fourth or something, and I had the slowest time. So in the final, I had the slowest time, and I had the last lane pick, so I was all the way on the outside, and we all know that's not really an advantage. So I was on the outside in the final, and still managed to get fourth. But it is what it is.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
And then also I remember back then Hinkelin from the swimming, Hinkelin Schröder. She told me she was very impressed with you because your mom really fell sick before that, right? And it's not sick. It has been a severe. Yeah,
she was really sick.
And you still managed to go and bring out the best performance.
Yeah. Well, my mom got in the hospital like 2 months before the Olympics, and she had like a really bad syndrome. Nobody about us know anything about the syndrome, but it was a really bad situation at that moment, and luckily she's back and she's feeling okay and she's pretty healthy again. So that's all good. But at that moment we didn't know how my mom would end up. So it was also mentally really tough going into the Olympics, knowing your mom is really sick at home, and I had to leave her and still perform. So for some at some point I also decided to get the best performance out of myself for my mom. Yeah. So that was some kind of like a switch for me to give it everything I got. And my mom, she couldn't talk at that moment because she had she was on the, how do you say it, her lung functions quit, so she couldn't breathe by her own. So she couldn't talk, but for some reason she could like tell me just with signals, you have to go back to Papendal, train your ass off, and be one of the fastest guys on the world. So yeah, that's those signals I got from her when I was in the hospital. So yeah, every day when I saw her, she was like, "What are you doing here? You need to be at Papendal and prepare yourself for the Olympics." So yeah, but that's still like a double feeling. Your mom is sick at home. Yeah. I want to prepare myself, but I also want to be there for her. So it was a tough situation, but yeah, I managed to also give everything I got for my mom. Yeah. So it was good.
And you mentioned it was your darkest moment, and in retrospect you also said it's okay, but what did you learn? How has it shaped your life, that moment?
Well, life can be like, you don't always can predict your life, of course, and yeah, I think the most important thing is to be healthy and to be happy, and of course it was my darkest moment, but from the inside I still was having the same feeling when I was a little kid. I really love riding my bike, and I still do, so that's the most important thing. If you do what you like, you can always go back to there and start over and over again. That's my opinion. Yeah. But I just really want to do what I really like, and yeah, as long as I am enjoying it, also with some setbacks, then you just have to think back from where you're coming from the beginning, when you were a little kid. You start riding your bike because you really liked it, and yeah, for some reason I still like it. So yeah.
Cool. What was your best moment?
My best moment, I think my last race. Yeah, it was like I didn't qualify for Rio, and that was also a really big setback at that moment. But for me, I couldn't like step back from the sport, ending my career without a good last result. So when I knew I didn't qualify for Rio, I went back to Papendal and told myself, like, okay, I have 2 more races to go, and it were the Dutch champs and the European champs, and I just want to give everything I got. I know I'm not qualified, so let's bring everything I got for the last 2 races, and yeah, just going up to the last race, the Europeans, I felt better and better every week, because at the Worlds it was my last chance to qualify for Rio, and I didn't make the semi-final, which I should to qualify, and I got the quarterfinal, so that was close. But I was just back on my bike at the Worlds because I broke my wrist in Argentina at the World Cup. So the World Champs was just a little bit too soon for me, coming back from injury. But the weeks after the Worlds, I was back in training, and I felt better and better every day. And yeah, going into the national champs, I just got 4th, just next to the podium. But 2 weeks later, we had European champs, and I felt even better. And for some reason, everything felt in the right place, and I really liked the track in Verona. I really had good gates, like in the training sessions and in the racing. All my gates were like almost perfect. Like, you always hope to be to have those gates, but for some reason it almost never happens. But in Verona everything fell into place, and yeah, I felt strong, and I wanted to really end my career in a good way. So, and I also had the feeling, because everybody knew it was my last race, the crowd and all the people around me were like standing behind me, and they pushing me also a little bit to make it a really nice last race for me. So it just felt like everything came together, and somehow I managed to get a whole shot and had a really clean lap and finished first. So that was really, really nice to end my career that way. Yeah. Even I didn't go to the Olympics in Rio. So I was, and also because I didn't make Rio, it also was like mentally tough the first few weeks to go back into training. But I also thought but this is not the way I want to end my career. So let's do it. Let's try to have those last two races, end those last two races in a good way. And I just focused on training, and like I always did, and came together.
Mm. And that good result at the Europeans also helped you to retire better?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I think if I would end in a podium spot at my last race, I would be happy. But if my last race, if I had like a really bad result at my last race, it would be really hard to retire, I guess. So for some reason, winning the last race of my career was like just a good feeling. And when I finished, I'm like, this is it. And of course, a few weeks later, I was still feeling like, do I really want to quit? Because I just won the Europeans. So I showed everybody I'm still one of the fastest racers in the world. So why should I quit? So I asked myself a couple times, but there's also like the other side of racing. You have to take a lot of risks, and I knew the last few years were on that side. It was really hard for me to take all the risk over and over again, because I got so many injuries, and that was mentally some breaking point for me to say like I'm done. I just had a lot of crashing and bad injuries, so I still need to live a few more years and need to work. So I still want to walk away from my sport as good as I can. I think it was a really good moment for me to say goodbye as a professional athlete. Yeah.
Okay. If you could go back in time 10, 15 years, what advice would you give your younger you?
I would say listen carefully to what your coach is saying. And this is because I also thought I knew most of the things myself when I was an athlete, but I think if I listen sooner to my coach in my professional career, I would probably I would say I would have some better performance on racing day, because I was always like training as hard as I can, and which we should do, but I was also doing some extra sets or some extra reps or whatever, always, because it gave me a really good feeling. But I think I can say now it was stupid, because at some races I was just too tired to perform really well. So, and the coach he told me a couple times, like, Raymon, you have to slow down and just take some rest. But I just I was listening, but it didn't feel right to me, so I was just doing more and more. Yeah, and at the end of my career, I also I took it a little bit slower at some points, but in my beginning years, I was just I think I just wanted to win too bad. That's probably the right way to say it. So yeah, it was kind of stupid at that point, but yeah, I think right now I learned from it. Yeah, that's how it works, and I think most of the athletes are how do you say it, eigenwijs.
Mm-hmm.
How do you say it?
Yeah, it's a good one. I don't know what it is. I know what it is, but I don't know how to translate. Even in German, I don't know the word. I guess it's you want to do your own thing.
Yeah. You are convinced to do more or to do less, but what your coach is saying most of the time, especially in your beginning years, yeah, that's sometimes it's hard to to say okay, just keep to the program. Yeah, especially for me. So I was always doing more and more, and was stupid at that point.
Okay. What are the habits that make you a successful athlete and person?
I would say if I really want something, I go for it like 110%. Like everything has to go my way, and the rest I don't really care about the rest of the things. I care about people, but yeah, I was pretty selfish, I think, in my sport career. So yeah, if I want to perform well, I knew I couldn't go to any parties, or I had to like stick to my diet and stick to my training program. Don't go off anywhere, and I'm just like one way, one direction, and that's how we do it. And also in life, if I really convinced I want to do something, then I just go for like 110%, and yeah, that's just me. And then I'm just 100% focused on that, and yeah, that's how I see it and how I feel it. If you want something, you have to be dedicated. And in sports, dedication means eat, sleep, train, repeat, and yeah, I was maybe a little bit too much sometimes.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah, but yeah, I think that's basically one of my habits that makes me successful.
Yeah. I also think if I look back at all the years we trained together, you believe pretty much in preparation, right? You were always prepared, you always had everything with you.
Yeah.
You never forgot your training program.
No.
I mean, I can't recall it as that you forgot anything. So you're always prepared.
Yeah, I was really good prepared. Like also with the equipment, my bike had to be perfect. My gear had to be perfect, like and really clean. I'm just that's like the last, let's say 12, 13 years of my career were like full time, and it was just all about BMX. So training program, equipment, food, everything had to be perfect, like how I had it in mind, or how I discussed with my coach, or with my diet nutritionist. Yeah, we made a plan together, so I had to stick to the plan and be prepared for what's coming. So yeah, I was always good prepared. That's one thing for sure. Yeah.
I've also written down something here. What I've kind of always admired about you is that you don't seem to put limits on yourself, right? A few years ago, they told you can't use your wrist anymore.
Yeah.
And now you do handstand walks and snatches and whatever. How's that possible?
Yeah, well.
So just to reiterate, Raymon broke his wrist. Yeah, and after the surgery, they told you can only use a few degrees, right?
Yeah.
So, and yeah, basically, you do more than this few degrees.
Yeah, well, the doctor told me like it's going to be hard to get back on your bike again, and at that point I was like, damn, I hope he's not right. So yeah, I went once the brace came off, like 110% with the physio. Going to work, and it was painful. I can remember that, one thing for sure. But I think because we were riding our bike, because I'm enjoying riding my bike so much, I just forget about the little pains I have, and also like, for example, with the wrist. It needs to move on the bike. So if I'm jumping or whatever I'm doing on the bike, the wrist is moving. So without knowing, I was doing the best physio I can on the bike.
Yeah.
And because I was still enjoying it, of course it was painful at some times, but most of the time I was really enjoying it and I forgot all the pain. So I think the riding my bike so much was the best physio, and I got so much movement back. And also just trying new things and searching for the limits every time again until you had a feeling one day or 2 days later like, oh, I did a little bit too much, and you have pain on your wrist for like a week. Then you know, okay, that was really the limit. So but yeah, you need to find the limits and work with it, and then every small steps count.
Yeah. Cool. Do you have a morning routine?
Morning routine. I just have a really good breakfast. That's with my oats and all the nuts and stuff I'm throwing in. So that's my only routine I have. Basically, every morning. I'm still doing it. So just a big bowl with oats, and just take some time for my breakfast. That's the only routine I have, and I don't have other routines, I guess. But my breakfast is really important. So if I don't have my breakfast, then the whole day is pretty much screwed up. So that's a joke, but I really think I'm just enjoying my breakfast, and I take time for it to preparing it, and just enjoying eating it. So,
Cool. How do you prepare for important moments?
Well, at some point I learned like there are always people or places that have how do I explain it? I just think I'm doing what I really like to do, so I try to enjoy from it as much as I can. And if I feel like I'm a little bit scared of or something, or then I think there are much more people that they need to do something they really don't like, and I really understand that they are afraid to do something, but I'm here because I really like riding my bike, so I shouldn't be afraid or be scared or whatever. I just need to enjoy what I'm doing, and it's over before you know it. So just focus on yourself, not on everybody else, just on yourself, and just give everything you got. You prepared for this like multiple thousand times on the gate or whatever, and so you know what you're doing. So just focus on yourself, enjoy it, and give everything you got.
Interesting. Good. I remember on a training camp you told me that you had difficulty sleeping before the race at the Olympics 2012, right? Because
Yeah.
you put a lot of pressure on yourself.
Yeah.
However, you still managed to be in peak shape.
Mm-hmm.
What did you do? How did you do that?
Well, I think at that point, I was listening more carefully to my coach. So it was really hard for me in the preparations, especially in the last preparation, to take more rest. But I listened, and I think because I was recovered from all the injuries and all the hard training, I was just in a really good shape. And because I was fully rested, I could perform really well. But the thing was, I was not sleeping really well the last couple of days, and I could barely eat because I put so much pressure on myself. I just really want to do good for me and for my mom at home. So the pressure was really on. But for some reason, my body still felt really good. So, yeah, the track was really. I felt the track was really, really good. So, I was like 100% sure that I was able to do really well. But for some reason, there was still some moments, especially in bed, that I couldn't sleep because I was also thinking like, what if I screw up or. So yeah, it was like I felt really good in training and in all the preps before, so I knew I was in really good form. But then just a few days before, I was just laying in bed, and then you don't have anything else to do, just you and yourself, and you're just like thinking if you don't sleep. So it was like, yeah, I'm feeling good. But what if? I'm feeling good, so those two feelings were like 50-50. But once the racing started and my first race went really well, then most of the fears fell off, and I was just like focused on myself again. And I felt just really good on the bike, and I showed I had some good speed on the bike, so why not? Yeah. So that was at that point also like, why not? And also like Bosse was telling me like, you're showing you're one of the fastest on the track, especially after time trial. I was the fastest, so you're showing everybody you're the fastest. So why don't trust yourself and your body that you're in a really good shape and focus on yourself and just enjoy. So I did. But just the last few days before London racing was tough. Yeah, it was really tough mentally. But I think most of the athletes will feel the same at that point, especially when it's so important for yourself. So that's also a way of thinking. Like, I'm feeling this, but I'm pretty sure the other athletes were feeling the same. So that's like what gives you also like a good feeling. Like, I'm not the only one who feels this. I'm pretty much 100% sure the rest of the guys are also feeling the same, because it's just the most important race of your life. So if you don't have this feeling, it would be weird.
Yeah.
So.
But then you said the first race was very good, right?
Yeah. I won my first race, so then the pressure fell off a little bit.
So, but then the question is, and I'm not sure whether it's easy to answer, but you used the nervousness to get out a good result.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Did you do that deliberately, or it just happened?
At that moment, it just happened, because Yeah, I think I had it a couple times in my younger years that I felt so nervous, but at that point I didn't know what to do with it. And at the Olympics, the first night I couldn't sleep and I couldn't eat and that kind of stuff. I was like, oh shit, this is not happening. Until I felt, or I thought like, yeah, but I will probably not be the only one who has this feeling. And I'm in a really good shape, so snap out of it. Like, alright, it's good to have some nerves. Like, it's normal. So okay, accept it and go forward. So that's I think that's a better way to say it. Like, you have to accept the nerves and embrace them and just still try to enjoy what you're doing as much as you can. I think that's really important, and that's basically my last few years. How I like mentally prepare myself for racing, even when I was scared to crash or whatever, to get injuries, because those feelings came up my mind the last few years a couple times. So it's a fight with yourself. That's one thing for sure, and it's hard because we can all ride our bikes really fast and we are all training really hard, but it's all about when you're on the gate with those 7 other guys, then you really need to show and give everything you got and just focus on yourself. So it's really hard. That's one thing for sure.
How did you overcome setbacks?
I was always like, well, in the first few years of my career, I was like, if I had a setback, and then a setback for me is like getting injured, because a bad result is just, okay, next week I can try to perform better, but with a really setback, I mean an injury where you have to sit back for maybe a month or 2 months or whatever. In my beginning years it was really easy because I was just injured, but I was almost back on the bike with my injury because I couldn't miss my bike. But later on in my career, getting older, and I was really thinking about the risk we are taking every time that we are racing. So it got harder and harder every year. I got further, but still I was like telling myself, like, the moments I already had getting a good result is making me so happy, and I'm really enjoying riding my bike. So if this is what you really like, then the other side is the risk of getting injured or whatever, and it's tough. But I also at some point getting back from injuries was like, okay, I'm gonna show the doctor or the physio I will be back really soon. So for me it was like a challenge as well. But I also had setbacks from getting bad results for like almost a year, and that's also pretty tough mentally, because you're training and preparing every week, every day basically, to get good results, and then the results are not good. That's hard. It's really hard, and sometimes you can't explain it at all. And then your coach is telling you, trust me, Raymon, that someday you will be back. So just keep going and you will get back. So it's also something you just, if you really like riding your bike, just go back on it. And the thing for me is, I guess, I was really enjoying every kind of training. So I was enjoying my gym sessions. I really like to do sprint training. The only thing I didn't like was endurance on the road bike. That's something I don't really like, but but still, with the whole group together, you're also like with your team, we were also like kind of friends. So basically you were doing what you love with good friends. So there are worst things you have to do. So that's the way when I was having a setback, I was always thinking like, okay, I can go back to school, or I can go to work, or I can do this.
Yeah.
What do you like more? And then the answer was pretty easy. So that's I think how it works basically, especially when you're having setbacks or. But it's I know it's not easy for everybody to go back to the training facility every day over and over again. But for me it was like I'm enjoying every kind of training, so I'm with friends. The results will come. So.
I need to dig a bit deeper into that, because you said like if results don't come. I remember 2012, of course you became fourth at London. I think prior to London you also were 2 years third in the overall ranking. And then the next 2 years after London were for you not good.
No, not at all.
So 2 years without any good results.
Yeah, I had some good results, but not. Yeah, it was pretty much nothing. But yeah, I was after London. I had like that was one of my darkest moments. And once I made the decision, like okay, I'm healthy, pretty much healthy again after my collarbone, breaking my collarbone after London. Back on the bike, what do you want to do? That's what Bosse told me. I'm like, I got fourth in London. Yeah, I want to go to Rio, for sure. So there was no question asked. I want to go to Rio, and I want to make a podium. So yeah, that was my goal. Once I was back on the bike after London, the only goal I had was, okay, Rio. That's where I want to go. So from there on it was just like tunnel vision and going for Rio again. But yeah, those first 2 years, like so 13 and 14 were like shit. But yeah, I want to go to Rio, so I had to go. Yeah, so I managed to, for some reason, in some trainings I felt pretty fast. So every time those training sessions were there, I knew I was still able to perform well. I just need to had that feeling back in racing, and that took me quite a while. But it also had to do a lot with being scared of getting injured again. So I was just a little bit how do you say it? Yeah, I was pretty much a little bit scared. So I was like, during racing I backed down a little bit. So yeah, if you back down in BMX, then you will not win. So I had to get the feeling back of know how to win and to give myself 100% and not be afraid of crashing, and it just took a while.
And then another question I have, that personal interest, or it's normal, the life cycle of an athlete is, you grow towards your peak, and then at some point the peak ends. So when I joined the team, you were always the fastest. But over the years, some guys who were younger, but trying to catch you, they also caught up and also became faster at some point. how does it play on the mind of an athlete?
At some point you just have to accept that the younger guys are getting faster. But I could put it into place because when we started back in 2006, there was no program, so we had to make a fresh start from the beginning. Like there's nothing, so we have to begin somewhere. And the younger guys who came in, they could start like on a really high pace already. Like okay, the first 4 or 5 years of my full-time career, we just tried different things. Some things worked, some things didn't work. So the things that didn't work, we could we don't have to try them again. So when the younger guys came in, we pretty much know what kind of training and what things worked and which things didn't work. So they can adjust to it way sooner than we did. So the training level was way higher when we started. So the trainers and the coaches were better schooled. So the programs got better and better. So it's pretty much sure that the new talents who come in will also perform better because the programs are way better than when we started. So it was like a trial and error when we started, and now the guys are coming in and the program is like pretty much perfect. So if they do what's on the program, they will get faster and stronger and better and so on, but they still need to do it themselves. But
we can't take that away from them.
Exactly. But once we started back in 2006, we didn't really know what was really good for us or what to do or what not to do. So it was a trial and error. And I think we started with the training sessions. For example, we had like 3.5 hour weight training, and now it's maximum 2 hours. So that's a big difference as well. So we figured out so many things during the years. So we figured them out. So the new guys, they don't have to figure out anything anymore. So they are like, everything's prepared for them. So it's, to me, it's like, it's normal that the new guys are getting faster, for sure. There's also like, at some point they will be reaching the top, and then and also the talent is also really important. So for example, Nick is, he has a special talent. So he's strong and he's fast and he's really technical on the bike. So that's something that not everyone has perfectly. So, but he's basically on those kind of training levels, he's basically pretty perfect to me.
Yeah.
Technically strong, speed, explosive. So he's a really good athlete.
I also think he really likes riding his bike.
He really enjoys riding his bike, also like his brother, of course. Yeah. But I think that is what made him so technical, also because he's just riding his bike when he was like a kid. He's riding his bike over and over again. I also did the same. I was just riding my bike every day, whenever I can. Yeah. That's what made me technical. Yeah. So that's how it works in BMX. Yeah.
Do you have a role model?
Back in the day, I had like 2 role models. First one was Bosse, because when I was like a kid, he was like one of the fastest guys in the BMX in the world. So I was watching Bosse on TV. So yeah, later he became my coach. So that was like some kind of dream come true in my younger age. But once Bosse stepped out of the BMX scene a little bit, then Robert de Wilde was one of the fastest racers in the world. So I also looked up to him, looked up to him for a pretty long time, until I beat him a couple times. But yeah, that's also the same thing. Like he was one of the first BMXers that went to the US for a professional career. So he was the man to beat in Holland. Mm-hmm. And then we started here with a full-time training program with Bosse. And at some point we catched Robert, and at some point we became a little bit faster sometimes as well. So yeah, that's also how it worked. He was older, and yeah, we just with Bosse coaching we had some new ins and outs. So we performed and we could train together, which made us really strong. And back here when he was in the US training by himself. So that was also yeah. It's a little bit the same than the young guys who catch me at some point. Yeah, we also catch Robert back in the day. So yeah, I think that's like yeah, it's coming back in every sport.
Yeah. What's the best advice you have received, and who gave it to you?
I think for me the best advice was when you have fears or when you are really scared of something, try to use those fears to perform better. So at some point I felt really scared just to do a good performance. But I just made it up in my mind, like, okay, I'm feeling scared now, but that's a good feeling. So instead of thinking like I'm feeling scared, oh that's really bad, or now I can't really perform really well, I just switch it like, okay, now I'm scared, now I'm ready. So I fooled myself a little bit at some point, but it helped me really good. And I think this one was told by Bosse. Yeah, so he told me like, I'm never scared. He was never scared, so he was not always he was like, I don't understand why you're feared to get out there and to perform well. So I was like, yeah, I really like to perform well, so it's normal that I'm feared because I'm not always thinking I will be the fastest. So so he was like, okay, just switch it, and once you're scared, you just have to think that's a really good feeling. So that's how I that's something I really used a lot of times. Yeah.
And then what you just said triggered another question. You received a lot of advices, but not always good ones. How do you sort the advices yourself, whether they are good or not?
How do I what?
Yeah, how do you sort the advices? How do you know if they are good or not, or does it come later?
It depends on who told me the advice. Like for some reason, if I know someone and I know he did already really good in coaching, or he performed really well in his own professional career, I can really accept something that he's telling me. But once somebody telling me what to do, but he didn't perform anything by himself, then I'm like, you can talk whatever you want, but I don't trust you at all. So yeah, I made some shifts. I always, for example, fully trust Bosse because he had his own professional career. I always trust my weight trainers because I know they had like a really good background. So I just had to know the background from the guy or the woman who told me any advice. Like, yeah, I have to check the background from him or her, and then yeah, if they had like a really good performance in the past, then for some reason I just like, okay, so she had a good performance or she did really well in coaching or whatever, she will be right.
Yeah.
So, but if someone told me an advice and didn't achieve anything himself, then I just skip it all the way. It was like in here and out there. So that's how it worked with me.
I can align with that one.
Yeah.
For me also, if someone gives me an advice, there needs to be evidence.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's maybe better said. There needs to be evidence to come back from it. Yeah.
How does a typical training day look like, or how did it look like?
Well, basically, I wake up every morning at 7. Then I went right into breakfast, and my breakfast takes like almost 30 minutes to 45 minutes, just to really relax. And then half past 9 we started a gym session until 12. Then we have lunch, and at 3 we also had like a training session, sprints or on the road bike or whatever, or on the track, until 5, and then training day is done. Dinner, and then later in the evening I also eat something like a snack or something, or yogurt, whatever, and back to bed in around 11 for me. I always got to bed pretty late, so up really early and back to bed really late. So yeah, I'm an evening person, but also a morning person. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So you can manage with less hours of sleep?
Yeah. Especially when I was younger. Now I know I really need to make 7 to 8 hours. But back in the day, I managed to have enough sleep with 6 hours sometimes. Yeah.
Interesting.
I was always busy with doing all kind of stuff during my career, and I'm still the same. I'm always busy with something. But now I have my own house and stuff with my wife, so I'm also enjoying watching like a movie or something in the evening. So I'm more. I know I have to. I know I need to have some time with my girl as well. So that's also really important.
Yeah.
So, but back in the day, it was just always busy with doing different kind of stuff, and I was not before television watching any shows or anything much. I was always running around, cleaning my bike or doing emails or whatever. Always busy.
Do you want to nominate someone to be interviewed?
I think it's good to nominate Bosse or Rob, one of those two.
Rob is nominated, so Bosse is good.
Okay, well, Bosse. So yeah,
Cool.
looking forward to see his interview.
Yeah, cool. Where can people find you?
I'm still on social media, on my Instagram basically every day. So Raymon VD Biezen at Instagram. So yeah, still putting some training videos every now and then, and thinking about stupid stuff. No, but I'm trying to. I'm still trying to adjust my own training from the past back into training programs now. So thinking how to get better and faster and just challenge myself and other athletes. So yeah, Instagram basically Raymon VD Biezen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right.
Thanks, Raymond.
You're welcome.